Wouldn't be a road trip without some follies on the roads. Welcome in Matt Melzak from the Toledo Walleye as the Fish ran into a little bus trouble over the weekend, but they got to their games okay, and they took 2 of 3 while they're on the road.
Yeah, they did. As a matter of fact, the only game they lost was the one they were well in advance of, and you know it didn't matter. It was a morning game that they ended up losing and played very well in that game, by the way, with over 40 shots in that contest. Just didn't win. Which happens, but rebounded, strong performance Friday night to get the win there in Iowa. And I thought it was a very well-rounded game on Saturday. Yes, you had a little extra because you weren't planning on driving in the day of the game, and those can be tricky because you just don't do it as much anymore. They're just a few spots, Kalamazoo, Fort Wayne, where you'll pop in right before the game and just play the game and go out. But you know, when you're talking close to 3 hours on that trip and then you get in there and play as well as they did, I thought on Saturday, you know what, it's hats off to them. That's great work this weekend.
They've struggled in those late morning games, and it's both teams are playing out of their routine. Do you read a whole lot into the Walleye struggles in those games?
I don't, because in a couple of those games, I thought they played very well. Yeah. I mean, you can't watch the game from this past Wednesday at Iowa and go, well, boy, they played terrible. I mean, you could maybe go to the previous one and say, well, they weren't their best. You know, but they played very well against Indy the first time. Probably should have won, but great goaltending stopped them there. Great goaltending stopped them in the game against Iowa last week. So you can't sit there and go, well, they didn't play well, and oh, there's some big problem with these things. By the way, there's no more. Yes. I mean, you have a 1:30 game in Cincinnati, but there's no more morning, quote-unquote, games left on the schedule. So, I mean, it's all water under the bridge at this point anyway, Mark.
Well, it seems like every week we got a new guy getting a hat trick, and it's Mitch Lewandowski's turn this week.
Yeah, third guy this year for joining Brandon Hawkins and Sam Craggs, who also had hat tricks. And Mitch Lewandowski, first time he's done it in a pro uniform for him. And, you know, he just is. I actually asked Pat Mickish about this the previous week with Mitch Lewandowski, because he kind of gets moved around a little bit. If there's an injury on that top line, boom, he's right there, right? He's the guy who slots right in. He goes down to another line. Doesn't matter where you play him, he's going to produce. And he is one of those guys that just finds a way to get it done. And, you know, maybe sometimes you're not looking at him being the most flashy person on the ice, but he produces. He's a very smart hockey player. He's in a lot of the right situations. He doesn't hurt you defensively, and he produces offensively at all times, and we'll see if he can continue to do so.
Fish remain on the road for one game this week. Friday they go to Wheeling. They're back home then on Saturday for a home-and-home with the Nailers. And we talked about beginning of the year. We're not going to see Wheeling a whole lot anymore because they're in a different division. That's not quite the case as we get 2 more with them.
Actually seeing them more this year than we did last year when they were in the division, Mark. I mean, it's very crazy. And this is a Wheeling team that's red hot. Hottest team in the ECHL right now. They've won 13 consecutive games. They're unbeaten in 15 straight, so they are playing some great hockey. They're very good in their building. However, one of those wins did come against Toledo. They beat them the day before Thanksgiving last month, but Toledo dominated a lot of that game. The last 2.5 periods was played an awful lot in the Wheeling zone. This is a wonderful test going right into the holiday break.
Absolutely. Of course, that Friday game on the road, then Saturday back here at home. You can see that game live on BCSN. Matt Melzak will be on the call and also be in tomorrow night for Ice Check. Don't forget to catch Ice Check Tuesday nights at 10 o'clock with Matt, and Joel Smashinelli. Matt, thank you for joining us.
I appreciate it, Mark. Thanks for the Ice Check plug.